and his content may be within the community guidelines set up by the platforms, we are concerned that he may be able to profit from his content on the platforms. Holy what, dude?
Hello, good people. It is Todd Shannon, data scientist, social commentator, getter of buckets. And man, does the Russell Brand situation keep getting more and more interesting. Listen, if you haven't been following the Russell Brand situation, you should be. Basically, there are many allegations against Mr. Brand regarding a certain kind of assault, a certain kind of misconduct that is actually, quite unfitting for a gentleman and a person of upstanding morals. But the situation is this. I coined a phrase. I call it the stale accusation. These accusations are stale. They're strategically timed assault allegations. And so many people have an eyebrow raised of suspicion because the timing of these allegations are quite curious. Now, we have some confirmation that should make anyone really, really raise their eyebrows. And I'm also going to tie this into what this might have to do and what he might have in common with Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports. And there's kind of an interesting overlap that you may not have realized, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But let's deal with the most recent developments. One, we have legit confirmation that the UK government is after Russell Brand. I mean, I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's bizarre. Okay. Now just think about this for a moment. Mr. Brand has been accused of sexual assault, right? This is a matter between obviously the local authorities and the alleged victims, right? So the local authorities obviously are going to do their deal, and they're going to do their investigations. If he is guilty, then he'll take him through the due process and he'll get what's coming to him, as he should. But ask yourself just pause for a moment. Just think about this. Why in God's name would the UK government be taking an interest in this case? Russell Brand doesn't work for them. He's not a politician. And this is what I'm saying, okay? I'm telling you, my tinfoil hat game is so strong right now because it's not tinfoil hat anymore. All of this stuff, like the last 3 years, man, I'm telling you, if you are still blinded, if you still think these people aren't crazy, they say it's not paranoia if they are actually after you. These people are certifiably completely deplorable. I don't even know where to begin, but let's just get to it, because Mr. Tim Pool, shout to Tim Pool, he's got basically the information here where it's legit confirmed they are after. The government of the UK is after Russell Brand. Let's listen.
So we have this tweet from Mario Knopfel. This is the Culture, Media and Sports Committee of the House of Commons sent a letter to TikTok saying, while we recognize TikTok is not the creator of the content published by Mr. Brand, and his content may be within the community guidelines set up by the platforms, we are concerned that he may be able to profit from his content on the platforms. Holy what, dude?
Dude, I mean, I have to laugh to keep from crying, but let's just take a moment to drink that in. Let that wash over you. What the heck? What business is it of theirs whether this man is producing content on a private platform that has nothing to do with them? They're trying to stop this man from making money. Let's listen further.
Confirmed conspiracy against Russell Brand. I'm just really excited for this. We have a very quick confirmation of a government conspiracy against Russell Brand. Wait, hold on. Here's the Rumble tweet, because Rumble is awesome. They of course released this with a statement saying, today we received an extremely disturbing...
Shout to Rumble for outing them. I appreciate the fact that these people are being exposed.
Letter from a committee chair in the UK Parliament. While Rumble obviously deplores sexual assault, rape, and all serious crimes, and believes that both alleged victims and the accused are entitled to full and serious investigation, it is vital to note that the recent allegations against Russell Brand have nothing to do with content on Rumble's platform. Just yesterday, YouTube announced that based solely on these media accusations, it was barring Mr. Brand from monetizing his video content. Rumble stands for
So I mean, come on. I mean, we've known that Google and big tech over here in YouTube is basically Big Brother. I know I'm using the platform and I'm, throwing shade at them. But listen, you outed yourself. Basically, mere allegations are enough for you to basically shut this man's operation down. Very interesting.
Very different values. We have devoted ourselves to the vital cause of defending a free internet, meaning an internet where no one arbitrarily dictates which ideas can or cannot be heard, or which citizens may or may not be entitled to a platform. We regard it as deeply inappropriate and dangerous the UK Parliament would attempt to control who is allowed to speak on our platform or to earn a living from doing so. Singling out an individual and demanding his ban is even more disturbing, given the absence of any connection between the allegations and his content on Rumble.
And that's a key point to understand. It would be one thing if, Russell Brand was out there basically selling T-shirts saying, I'm a serial abuser, right? And profiting off of this immoral and deplorable content. But that's not what he's doing. His channel has nothing to do with that. So here's the thing. First of all, I found some new developments about these allegations. And one is that regarding the one that I thought was the most egregious and the one that I thought that it was going to be pretty hard for him to escape, if true, right? If there was any sort of relationship at all, was the one with this allegedly 16-year-old girl that he allegedly had a relationship with. Now, I thought that the UK was like the United States and that basically, if you do that in the United States, that's basically statutory sexual assault. It doesn't matter if she, quote, consented, because you just can't do that with a minor. But I learned, and I have confirmed through many of my, thank you for people who made these comments in my last video, the age of consent in the UK is 16. Now, whether that's kosher and moral is a completely different question from whether or not it is legal, okay? So that's the first thing that I said, well, that redounds to Mr. Brand's legal defense, right? Maybe not his moral one, but his legal defense. But then there's another thing here that I think is also important. There's apparently some text messages that took place between Russell and one of his alleged victims. And these text messages seem to implicate that Russell Brand at least admitted to doing something wrong. Now, it isn't like bona fide proof that it was forced, right? So a couple of details that matter here is that this woman with who is accusing him, he had previous consensual relations with, and that was clear from the text messages. And it was also clear that he had done something that she basically said she didn't want to do. Now, what does that mean specifically? Does that mean, I'll let you, Candace Ois actually reports, and she reads some of these text messages. I don't want to read them because I don't want to get this video banned or demonetized or whatever. But you get the point. There was something that took place that was not above board. It was not cool, and he apologized for it. Now, whether or not the entire incident was unwanted or there was a certain aspects of the incident that was unwanted is not clear, but it's clear that he did something that he should not have. Okay, so I just want to put that out there for full disclosure. There are some developments that I have learned, at least, since the last time I made the video about this whole situation. But I got to thinking, okay, this is really interesting now that we have this confirmation that the UK is basically trying to get this man shut down on all the social media platforms. Because think about what this says. So we normally think about these things in like binary terms, like either this strategically timed assault allegation, this stale allegation, was a hit piece and purely, politically motivated, and there's no truth to it at all, or, Mr. Brand is a dirtbag assaulter, right? The truth of the matter is that these two things are not mutually exclusive, right? There is a third option, which is to say that these allegations are 100% politically motivated, and he's also a serial assaulter, right? Or at least he was at that time. And so two things can be true at the same time. It's not either or. And I thought about this, and if the third option, this one that we haven't probably typically considered, if the third option of those three is actually true, which is this was politically motivated and he actually is guilty of these things, I think it's actually the worst of all possible options. And here's why. What it says is that there are a slew of people who are actually getting away with doing very evil things, but that nobody is interested in finding out the truth as long as those people are politically expedient. So just think about that. Do we want to live in a place where people can do things that are objectively wrong, objectively immoral, but they are allowed to slide under the radar so long as they don't make a fuss or ruffle any feathers with respect to ideas that, offend the people in power? And on the flip side, there's another part of that, right? Because if that's true, if they let people get away with evil things so long as they have the right political opinions, then that means they're also going to make mountains out of molehill and trump up certain charges or actions and inflate them with respect to their actual damage or evil if you have the wrong political opinions. I mean, is that the type of society we want to live in? I don't think so. And that brings me to Dave Portnoy, because Dave Portnoy is a person who is the owner of Barstool Sports. He's pretty famous. He does these quirky pizza reviews, one bite pizza reviews, one bite, everybody knows the rules. If you know, you know. So he has recently exposed a Washington Post, basically a dishonest activist posing as a journalist, basically trying to sour his advertisers on an event that he's throwing. And let's look at it right here because he's got the recorded evidence of this hit piece.
Hey, Emily, this is Dave Portnoy calling. I'm recording you right now. I've noticed a bunch of people. It seems like you're sending. We have this pizza fest happening on Saturday, and you're reaching out to our advertisers, and you're basically sending an email that says to the effect, Dave's a misogynist, racist. Do you want to defend yourselves advertising at this event, right?
I'm sorry, what's your name, Dave? I'm sorry, who are you?
I'm the guy you're writing the article about, Dave Portnoy.
Oh, you're Dave Portnoy. Oh, hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. No, I'm not. I haven't said anything like that.
I can read, if you want, I can read what you actually sent. I have it.
Yeah, read, because I sent a bunch of notes, so I want to make sure I know which one.
Okay. We are planning to write about the festival and how some of the sponsors and participants have drawn criticism by seemingly to associate themselves with Dave Portnoy, who has a history of misogynic comments and other problematic behavior. I want to make sure that Blank had a chance to respond to this, since the company is the most prominent in their partners of his festival.
Okay, so you see that. And basically what this Washington Post reporter did was she called up the advertisers for Dave Portnoy's event and said, hey, you want to explain to us why you are choosing to associate with a misogynist and a racist? He said, misogynic, Dave, he's a working class guy, so we're going to give him a break on the mispronunciation, but whatever. Misogynistic. He basically said, hey, they said, explain why you associating with this guy. He's a bad person. So he learns that they're going to release this hit piece on him, and basically that they were ruffling up, trying to stir up strife amongst the people who were participating and trying to get them to basically back off so that the event would lose steam. He decided to go on offense, call them up and say, hey, why are you doing this? The girl tries to lie, says, I didn't say that. He reads the email, she's busted, and she still doesn't own up to it. But the interesting thing about it is this. I'm trying to figure out why they don't like Dave Portnoy, right? I was thinking about this and I'm like, Dave Portnoy is very much like Russell Brand, and that he's not really on the right. He's not a conservative. He just happens to be kind of a center, maybe a center-left person who doesn't hate people on the right. He doesn't hate Donald Trump. He doesn't think that people on the right are evil, racist. He is all for small businesses. He has actually raised like $50 million to help small businesses, all spawned by the draconian COVID-19 lockdowns. And he's been an ardent critic of those lockdowns, as he displayed on Fox News when he was on Tucker Carlson just a couple of years ago. Let's have a quick look at that.
Right. I truly believe that the government officials who are making these decisions, if they had a brother or sister there whose livelihoods were on the line with a business, a small business, their decisions wouldn't be the same. And activities like this, you just reeled through a bunch. I remember the Philadelphia mayor, and then he's got Philadelphia in lockdown, went across the state border, sat down, ate in a restaurant. There's endless examples, and it's so easy to tell other people what to do with their lives when you're not directly affected by it. My whole rant on it, my whole passion is small business. It's the backbone of this country. They've gone through this whole corona pandemic. Theoretically, to see the light at the end of the tunnel, only to be shut down again. I'm not going to Thanksgiving with my family, Tucker, whether, the corona, because it's not worth the risk for me. And parents are old. I like my dad. My dad had the worst immune system. He'd roll over. He won't even put up a fight. So I'm not going to Thanksgiving. But that's my choice. That's our choice as a family.
All right. So you see Dave Portnoy kind of giving his opinions on the draconian COVID-19 lockdowns and saying, hey, listen, if people want to not take those risks, then let them make that choice. If people want to take those risks, that's their choice as well. So he's on the side of freedom, and he was a very, very outspoken critic about the COVID-19 lockdowns. Now, I think there is one other person who we've recently talked about who's had similar criticisms.
The pandemic created at least 40 new big pharma billionaires. Pharmaceutical corporations like Moderna and Pfizer made $1,000 of profit every second from the COVID-19 vaccine. More than two-thirds of Congress received campaign funding from pharmaceutical companies in the 2020 election.
Oh, wait, it's that one guy from the UK. I think his name's Russell Brand. Isn't that interesting? This is really where it comes down to. You need to understand, the powers that be, these people have taken the mask all the way off, okay? They don't care whether you're a, quote, good person or not. I'm going to go as far as to say they don't really care about assault victims. They don't really care about all of these things that they virtue signal about. What they really care about is whether or not you will bow down and repeat the narrative like a clone and like a mindless zombie. All they want you to do is make obeisance to the narrative. They want you to offer a sacrifice on the altars of the gods of COVID-19. The great sin of Dave Portnoy and Russell Brand is that there are not branch Covidians in the branch Covidian cult. And that's what they have in common. That is a separate issue from whether or not these people are necessarily moral models for us to follow. You know, Russell Brand, I had a very problematic past, but I do respect the fact that in many ways he has reformed himself, even if he'd done some immoral things and had a debaucherous lifestyle in the past. I respect the fact that he has recognized that that's not the way to live, and he's trying to change. I don't think that these are unforgivable sins for which we need to cancel him forever. Megyn Kelly, I think you should get that message. And whether or not he did something immoral is one thing, but this is going to come down to whether or not he actually did something illegal. But we see with Dave Portnoy, they try to poison the well. They try to change the narrative. They try to destroy you in the public opinion so that your life is no longer livable unless you bow down to the narrative. And it is my opinion that none of these stories would be coming out if, guilty or not, by the way, if he didn't go against the narrative. And that is not a just society and a society that we want to live in. But I'm curious to what your thoughts are, friends. Do you think this is more about the narrative? Do you think it's more about, actually these people caring about these victims? If you got a different opinion, I'd like to hear it. Let me know in the comments. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. Until next until next time, friends, God bless you.
And his content may be within the community guidelines set up by the platforms, we are concerned that he may be able to profit from his content on the platforms. Holy what, dude?
Hello, good people. It is Todd Shannon, data scientist, social commentator, getter of buckets. And man, does the Russell Brand situation keep getting more and more interesting. Listen, if you haven't been following the Russell Brand situation, you should be basically